Hey guys, we have a celebrity with us this time. We have Lokesh Suji, who is the founder of Indian League Gaming and also the Esports Federation of India. So we'll get a lot of insight about events like these in India, and let's ask him if there are more such events happening.
Yeah, hey, thank you guys. Really appreciate that. So as of today, I think this kind of a thing, or this kind of a brand coming in for esports is a big thing. So when we look at the properties which are already existing, so obviously we have got ESL Premiership, which has been launched, which has got the highest prize pool, 42 lakh rupees, and parallelly very recently Flipkart also announced their online gaming championship. And parallelly, as far as the Esports Federation of India is concerned, so this particular body is recognized by International Esports Federation. The IESF is also recognized by Olympic Council of Asia. So definitely we are also planning to do the national qualifiers for that, wherein the winning team will actually go out to Jakarta this time and represent Team India. So parallelly, UK government has also initiated a drive on esports. So their gaming properties by the name of E-Games. So which is just going to happen prior to the Olympics this year in the month of September at Rio.
So basically, you're talking to a lot of gamers inside, and they're looking out for sponsors and big brands to sort of help them out in this particular arena. So could you tell us where these gamers can look forward to get a little help?
So typically, so that's, so the way we have to look at this particular thing is because it's not gaming today, right? Because, and that's the reason we call it as esports, right? So esports has to be looked upon not as a casual pastime or this thing. It's a serious affair. It's become a spectator sport today. So when you look at esports, so it has to be looked upon, and all the dynamics which you normally have for any other sport, so all those dynamics apply here also. So which typically means that if you're a good gamer or if you're a good team, so this typically means that one is that you need to carry on continuously playing well. The most important factor there is that you have to stick together for sustained period of time. Typically when you look at the biggest of the team, Navi or Evil Genesis and stuff like that, these are the key teams which have been existing for such a long time. They've been playing for like 3-4 years continuously. So a lot of team foundation, team coordination and stuff happens. Unfortunately, in India, as of today, that seems to be a problem. But the good thing is that that particular problem is getting resolved. Now, at least we have certain set of teams who are sticking together. So one is that you have to stick together, participate very genuinely, with full heart in any of these championships happening, irrespective of the prize pool. Because when we look at India, so India definitely has got a huge population of gamers, right? But it is just that it needs to be brought to the mainstream. So when I say that we need to bring it to the mainstream, this typically means that yes. Obviously media companies like yours need to cover it more. Parallelly, when we look at brands, obviously Mountain Dew, Pepsi's, Flipkart for that matter, and Amazon is also trying to do something around it. But the involvement has to be very genuine kind of involvement, just not using esports as an activation tool, because globally, and even there was a Havas Media and Sports report which very clearly stated that esports or the engagement with esports should not be looked upon as an activation tool, because the moment you do that, your purpose and the connect, because see, when you look at the gaming community, these guys are very smart guys, right? These are at the, I would call it, these are the top of the digital community of India or worldwide. So these guys are very smart. These guys can easily sense it out. Are you trying to use them to push your brand? So unfortunately, what typically is happening in India today, or which has happened in the past, is that people try to fit esports into a brand. That's not the right thing. We should actually fit the brand into esports. So the moment or the perspective, when you start looking at from that perspective, a lot of things change. Now, answering to your question that if you're a good player, now eventually in India currently esports is not a career, right? Wherein world over you see people are making millions and millions of dollars there. So eventually, so as a gamer, what we need to do is that we need to start building up our fan following. Be genuine to your fans, right? And that is where but I think the good news to the Indian gaming community is that a lot of brands have now started looking upon it. So now these are the initial stages, but I see a lot of value there, and I've been in discussion with a lot of brands. So they're very excited about this proposition, and it's just a matter of time. So till that time, guys, just hang on. Don't lose hope. Yeah.
So I have one more question before I hand it over to Samir. Basically, 2016 has been a huge year for esports in India. All of a sudden, we saw a lot of big announcements happening. Could you tell us the major catalyst that actually made all of this happen?
So typically, when we look at the catalyst, so I remember like 2 years back, when I started this, so I definitely saw a lot of potential into it, but eventually nothing was, typically happening. So globally, when we look at the catalyst as far as the growth of esports is, the acquisition of Twitch, which is the streaming platform for games or esports, or by Amazon for around $1 billion. So that is something which has actually triggered a lot of attention. That fair enough, there was gaming, right? But oh God, so you have esports also. So what is this esports? And obviously, the community there is very engaged. Typically, a gamer, when you look at games like Counter-Strike, Dota, or League of Legends, these are like 1 hours. They take 1 hour's time to finish up a particular match. So this particular community is very engaged community. So I think the Twitch acquisition, parallelly when we look at the acquisition of Major League Gaming by Activision, similarly MTG Group acquired majority stake with ESL, and obviously thanks so ESL is also there. Parallelly, the International Esports Federation has already applied to Olympics to get esports included into Olympics. So these are very, very critical, catalytic points which have actually, as far as India is concerned, they are actually helping the brand's involvement into the gaming community. So that's my take onto that. Yeah.
That's great news to hear that Olympics might actually have esports in the future. So let's say Sameer has a few questions to ask as well.
Yep. So I think Mithun covered everything he could about esports. I have more of the average kid at home sitting who wants to play video games kind of questions for you. Now, of course, the first inception for anyone playing games today is their parents' smartphone and maybe gradually graduating to the PC at home or a console. But still, the price of building a nice gaming PC or purchasing a current gen console is expensive. And we know it's because of duties and everything that's related to that. But do you think it'll ever be a position where a gaming console would be the average household product in India, considering the growth that's happening?
So typically, so as far as now, it's a typical battle, and this battle is not a new battle, right? Which is better, a PC or a console or a mobile? So I think for the consoles, obviously the biggest bottleneck as far as the Indian market is concerned is the cost. Because when you buy a console here in India, right, so this console would typically cost you around some 35K plus, right? Or 30 even some schemes and other thing. But comparatively, when you look at the PC now, average, or like I would say that, any digital youth of India, whether, it's like a 13-year-old child, he would definitely have a PC or a laptop at his home. So, and parallelly mobile. Now, given a comparison between mobile, console and the PC, I think mobile definitely will take the lead. And then eventually is the PC. And console is still considered as a luxury item, So typically you would hardly find people who have got a good gaming rig also and plus the console also. So those numbers are very small there. So till the time, as far as the console is concerned, the pricing is kind of, matched to, the price points of US or Dubai and Singapore. That to me, it's still, is a big challenge there, because I'm also a parent, right? So I've got a son which is like 11 years old. So now being my inclination towards gaming, it's a different scenario that, I've got a PlayStation, also Xbox, and, the old gen and the next gen. But given a choice, if that was not a situation, so my kid, he already had a laptop. So his exposure to gaming is definitely first through the mobile, second is through the PC or the laptop, and third is something where when we look upon a console coming into picture. And now the things are moving towards VR, wherein a lot of integration can be done around that. But when you look at from a gaming perspective, there are a lot of good properties on the mobile also, like Clash Royale. I'm horribly and terribly hooked on to Clash Royale, So that's a mobile esports property.
But would you let him participate in esports?
Oh yes, absolutely, no doubt about that. So he equally plays well, and definitely so a lot of times, yesterday night I was playing Clash Royale and my rank unfortunately went down, and he said that, Dad, I had already told my friends that I'll show you Arena 6 on Clash Royale because my father has reached this thing. So he ensured that before night I sleep, I reached to that level and left my tablet unlocked so that he can show it to his friends. Definitely, I would love my son to get into this.
Okay, last question. Your top 3 most anticipated announcements from E3?
E3, one is, that's a difficult question because a lot of things are parallelly lined up. So one is that, as far as E3 is concerned, I'm looking at a lot of stuff moving around VR because that is something. And on the mobile esport front. So these are the 2, 1, and third, Sameer, you're the best judge there. I think I would not be, capable enough to answer that question. But
games, and more games. That's all we're looking forward to, because in the end, we gamers win. Thank you so much, Lokesh, for joining us. All the best for pro gaming leagues in India.
Thank you.
We would definitely love to speak to you again in the future.
Absolutely, anytime. Our pleasure's mine. Thank you.
Thank you.